CBS Young and the Restless spoilers. Thurdays, the 27th of August, 2026. I cannot even begin to process what Jack Abbott is thinking right now, because I am literally screaming at my screen after watching the latest developments for Wednesday, August 26. I mean, we need to talk about this massive decision Jack is facing regarding Lily Winters and her incredibly generous, frankly brilliant buyout proposal. Lily marched right into Jabbo and offered to pay off John Abbott's decades-old loan to Philip Chancellor, with interest, just to wipe the slate clean and stop Billy's hostile takeover. And Jack is actually hesitating. I am sorry, but what is there to think about? Lily is practically handing Jack a golden ticket to save John Abbott's legacy and keep Catherine Chancellor's company intact, and Jack is sitting there wringing his hands because he is terrified of how Billy will react. Because Jack is Jack, he is completely paralyzed by the fear of Billy throwing a massive tantrum, and we all know Billy is going to explode. Billy is a hothead. He is obsessed, and he will absolutely see this as the ultimate betrayal. But honestly, who cares? Am I the only one who thinks Jack just needs to cut Billy off completely at this point? I have been watching this show for years, and Billy has done nothing but cause chaos, destruction, and heartbreak for the Abbott family. You spend years supporting this guy, protecting him, keeping his dark secrets, bailing him out of his gambling debts, and covering for his reckless behavior, only for him to turn around and stab you in the back the second he feels entitled to something. So why is Jack still catering to him? I know some people are loving this aggressive corporate Billy era, but personally, I am so over it. Jack should just take Lily's deal, cash the check, and tell Billy to grow up. But of course, he won't. Because this is a soap opera, and Jack's primary job in life is to make the absolute worst possible decisions when it comes to his brother. He wants this all to end peacefully, without any more explosions from Billy, but that is literally impossible. Billy does not do peace. Billy thrives on chaos. And if Jack doesn't take Lily's deal, he is going to lose Lily's respect. He is going to ignite a war with Chancellor Winters, and he is going to end up in the crosshairs of Victor Newman. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go back to the Lily of it all. Lily is being a total boss right now. She sees the writing on the wall. She knows that Billy is delusional enough to think he can just waltz in and take over Chancellor because of some ancient, unpaid loan that Jill kept hidden. Lily is trying to be diplomatic, but she is also ready to go to war. And let's not forget that Kane Ashby is already running his mouth to Victor and Adam, warning them that Billy might actually have a legal leg to stand on. If Jack doesn't shut Billy down by accepting Lily's money, he is essentially declaring war on Victor Newman, and we all know how that ends. Remember when Victor kidnapped Jack and replaced him with Marco? Yeah, it didn't work out too well for Jack then, did it? But I digress. Let's switch gears and talk about the Newman family, because they are stressing me out even more than the Abbotts right now. Victor visiting Nick in rehab is just a recipe for absolute disaster. I mean, Nick is in there trying to put his life back together, doing jigsaw puzzles with Marie Kirkland, dealing with the horrifying aftermath of his fentanyl nightmare, and here comes the mustache to stir the pot. Nick is carrying so much guilt and shame right now. He knows he messed up. He knows he let his family down. He already had that incredibly intense emotional conversation with Nikki, where she told him he needs to let go of his blinding rage toward Matt Clark if he ever wants to truly recover. And then, Victor walks in. You just know Victor is going to throw shade at Jack being Nick's sponsor. Victor cannot help himself. Even when his son is fighting for his life in a rehab facility, Victor has to make it about his petty, decades-long rivalry with Jack Abbott. But the real issue here is Matt Clark. Nick obviously brings up Matt, because Matt is the root of all this current trauma. Nick wants to know the details. He wants to know what Victor's plan is to handle this psychopath who has terrorized their family, kidnapped people, and driven Nick to the brink of insanity. So what does Victor do? He makes a promise. A vague, ominous, classic Victor Newman promise. I will handle it, my boy. I cannot stand it when he does this. Victor keeping things vague is exactly why this family is always in crisis. Nick does not need vague promises right now. Nick needs transparency. Nick needs to know that his family is safe so he can focus on his sobriety. But Victor thinks he is a god who can manipulate the universe without telling anyone his plans. Remember when he faked his own death and let his children mourn him just to teach them a lesson? The man is toxic. I know Victor thinks he is protecting Nick by keeping the details about Matt Clark a secret, but it is going to backfire. It always backfires. Matt Clark is a wild card. He is out there manipulating Phyllis, pretending to want forgiveness from Sharon, and God knows what else. If Victor is plotting some underground illegal revenge scheme against Matt, it is only going to drag the Newmans deeper into the mud, and Nick is going to find out, and it is going to trigger another relapse. I am calling it right now. I am absolutely dreading where this storyline is going because I just want Nick to heal, but the writers refuse to let this man have a moment of peace. Okay, back to the point, because I really need to vent about the absolute mess happening over at Jabbo with Victoria and Kyle. Can we talk about this? Because I feel like I am losing my mind watching these two interact. Victoria Newman, the co-CEO of Newman Enterprises, is currently hanging around Jabbo, making out with Kyle Abbott, and now she is officially overstepping by proposing business ideas. In Wednesday's episode, Victoria actually proposes rebooting Vibrante. Yes, Vibrante. The old idea that Audra Charles came up with. I mean, the audacity of Victoria to just waltz into an Abbott company and start pitching recycled ideas from her brother's ex-fling is truly staggering. And what makes it even more hilarious is that Kyle actually vetoes it. Kyle Abbott, the boy who is currently risking his entire family's wrath to hook up with Victoria, looks her in the eye and shoots down her business proposal. I actually laughed out loud. Good for Kyle. Honestly, for once in his life, he is thinking with his actual brain instead of, well, you know. But let's talk about the dynamics in that room, because Claire Grace Newman is sitting right there, and she is clearly so uncomfortable. Claire is not enthusiastic about the Vibrante reboot at all, and how could she be? She is watching her mother openly flirt and plot with her recent ex-boyfriend. It is so gross. I am sorry, but I cannot get behind this Victoria and Kyle pairing. It is taboo, it is messy, and it is completely disrespectful to Claire. Victoria is old enough to know better. She is practically Harrison's step-grandmother if you look at the family tree sideways. Why is she doing this? She is acting like a rebellious teenager just because she is mad at Victor. And because Kyle shoots down the Vibrante idea, the tension in the room shifts. You can feel the weird power struggle between Victoria and Kyle. They are both so arrogant, so entitled, and they are completely addicted to the thrill of this forbidden romance. But they are getting sloppy. They are getting way too comfortable flaunting their connection in the middle of Jabbo, and someone is bound to notice. Enter Diane Jenkins Abbott. Oh my god, Diane is finally catching on. The spoilers say Diane starts getting suspicious, and I am here for it. Diane might be a lot of things. She might be paranoid, manipulative, and currently traumatized by that whole Dr. Markham kidnapping ordeal, but she is not stupid. She is a mother, and she knows when her son is acting out. Diane sees Victoria hanging around Kyle. She sees them bickering over Vibrante. She sees the lingering glances, and her radar is officially going off. I cannot wait for Diane to blow this wide open. Diane hates the Newmans. She hates Victor, she hates Nikki, and she certainly does not want Victoria sinking her claws into Kyle. If Diane figures out that Victoria and Kyle are hooking up, she is going to use it. She will either use it to blackmail Victoria, or she will run straight to Victor and blow up Victoria's life just to get revenge for Victor manipulating Jack. Because let's not forget, Diane is still furious that Jack and Nikki have been getting so close lately. She caught them in a compromising position not too long ago, and she is out for blood. So imagine Diane's delight when she realizes she holds the key to destroying Victoria's reputation. It is going to be explosive. I just know Diane is going to start snooping around. She is going to start asking Claire probing questions, trying to get the poor girl to spill the beans about her mother and Kyle. And Claire, who is already so fragile and trying so hard to fit into this family, is going to be caught right in the middle of this toxic crossfire. It breaks my heart for Claire, but as a viewer, I am living for the drama. But seriously, what is Victoria's endgame here? Does she really think she can date an Abbott, especially Kyle, and not face the wrath of her father? Victor is already on a warpath because of Billy trying to take over Chancellor. He is already furious that Jack is sponsoring Nick. If Victor finds out that his golden child, Victoria, is sleeping with Jack and Diane's son, the mustache is going to have a literal heart attack, or he is going to burn Jabot to the ground. There is no in-between with Victor. And let's circle back to Billy for a second, because all of these storylines are connected by the sheer arrogance of the men in Genoa City. Billy thinks he is invincible right now. He is sipping champagne with Audra, bragging about how the Abbott's own Chancellor, completely oblivious to the fact that Victor, Adam, and Kane are actively plotting his demise. Billy is so blinded by his own ego that he cannot see the massive target on his back. Sally sees it. Sally is terrified. She knows that Billy's family isn't going to back him, and she knows that Victor is going to crush him. If Jack accepts Lily's offer to pay off the loan, it pulls the rug right out from under Billy. Billy will have absolutely no legal claim to Chancellor anymore. His entire hostile takeover plan will crumble in an instant. And how will Billy react? He will blame Jack. He will say Jack never believed in him. Jack always favored his own interests. Jack is a traitor. Billy will throw a massive pity party, probably go on a bender, and completely alienate Sally in the process. I genuinely feel bad for Sally right now. She is pregnant, she is hormonal, she is grieving her past trauma with baby Ava, and she is tied to a man who is actively trying to start World War III in the corporate world. Sally deserves so much better than this. She deserves stability, but she chose Billy Abbott, and stability is not in his vocabulary. I just hope Audra continues to be a good friend to her, because Sally is going to need a shoulder to cry on when Billy inevitably destroys his own life again. And speaking of destroying lives, I am still so hung up on this Matt Clark situation with Nick. Why is Matt Clark still breathing the air in Genoa City? The man is a menace. He has caused so much pain for Sharon, for Noah, for Sienna, for Nick. The fact that Victor is keeping him around, playing some twisted game of chess with him, is sickening. Nick is in rehab, literally fighting the demons that Matt Clark unleashed on him, and Victor is just vaguely promising to handle it. I need Sharon to get involved. Sharon is the only one who truly understands the depth of Nick's trauma when it comes to Matt. Sharon needs to march into that rehab center, push Victor out of the way, and demand answers. But of course, Sharon is being kept in the dark because she isn't legally Nick's next of kin. It makes me so angry. Sharon and Nick have a bond that transcends legal paperwork, and Victor and Nikki freezing her out is just cruel. I am telling you, this Wednesday episode is setting the stage for a massive explosion. Jack has to make a choice about Lily's offer. Victor is making dangerous promises to Nick. Victoria and Kyle are playing with fire right in front of Diane and Claire. Every single person in Genoa City is currently standing on a landmine, and they are all just waiting for someone to step off. I know I am ranting, but I have been emotionally invested in these characters for years, and watching them make the exact same mistakes over and over again is maddening. Jack needs to drop Billy. Victor needs to be honest with Nick. Victoria needs to stay away from Kyle. It is really not that complicated, but they never learn. They never, ever learn. And that is exactly why I will be glued to my television tomorrow, screaming at the screen all over again. Am I the only one who feels this way? I know some of you in the forums are shipping Victoria and Kyle, and I just have to ask, why? It is so cringe. Let me know if you agree with me, because I feel like I am taking crazy pills watching this Vibrante reboot nonsense. Anyway, I need to go calm down before tomorrow's episode. I will see you all back here for the next update. And let's pray Jack actually makes a smart decision for once in his life.